Okay.
All right, we're here, ladies and gentlemen. Mitch is late. You can see he's just finally sitting down. Let's review Iron Lung. We watched this movie yesterday. It might have came out this week for us because there was quite a few people yesterday.
Yeah, it was definitely a recent release in Australia.
Yeah, so if you don't know, Markiplier, it's his, I believe, first film, or at least the first film that came out in cinemas. It was completely self-funded. Cost like $3 million to do. What do I think about the movie? I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. Um, I didn't really like the last. So I should say, we will be having spoilers. We'll be talking about spoilers in this review. So if you haven't
Mhm.
seen the film, then probably turn the video off.
What are you doing here?
Yeah, what are you doing here? So I liked the film. I did. I actually liked it better than I thought I would. I do. The issue is the end of the movie. A lot of people say, and I would agree that the movie does drag a little bit, but I don't mind. I thought the pacing overall was fine, but we didn't get a big payoff in the end, and that's the biggest issue. When you have movies like this that are kind of slow burns, that's the word I was looking for. Slow burn
Mhm.
movies where you want a nice payoff in the end, because movies need to have a certain amount of story being told, and I feel like this movie didn't have as much story as it needed to, or and that was the biggest negative of this film. I would say the film was great. Like Markiplier's acting was good. He's a good actor. In the beginning of the
Yeah.
movie, you could tell he's a little bit uncomfortable, or he was a little bit I don't know, like it's new for him. But as the film went on, I was impressed by his acting. He was great. He's also pretty funny. He's good at doing comedy, but it's not really trying to be comedy. He's just, the way he says things is funny. But it didn't have that payoff that I was hoping it would. And it left us, well, I at least speak for myself. It left me wanting to know what the hell is going on. And I was hoping in the movie that they would tell us what was going, not tell us, but at least show us a bit more what's going on over here. But they don't really do that. Yeah, I'll pass it over to you, Mitch, for now.
I mean, I'm from the point of view of I've never followed Markiplier as a YouTuber. I don't even know what he really specializes in. I'm assuming it's like video game reacting, given the given what this movie ended up being. I went in with blindfolded. I didn't know anything about this. I heard about this movie coming out called Iron Lung, then some YouTuber that was just about the gist of it, and we went and saw it. Yeah, I could say I enjoyed it for most of the part. Um, Markiplier himself, I think he does a pretty good job. If this is his very first time acting in a big directorial debut kind of film, props to him. He did a great job. I think what you're trying to get at with at first, Josh, it's like you're still seeing him as Markiplier instead of the actor, the character he's playing in the film. And then, like, as the time goes on, you start seeing the drama and his performance instead of just seeing Markiplier playing a role. You know what I mean?
Yes, that definitely has to do with it. But also, I found throughout the beginning of the movie, they hit his face a lot with his hair. They
Mm.
did a lot of side shots of his head, and they put his hair in the way. And later on in the movie, he put his hair back, and you could see his full face, and you saw a lot more acting towards the end. I don't know. I feel like they're kind of hiding his face in the beginning a little bit. You didn't get that sort of vibe?
Well, I mean, it could have been a deliberate thing to do is to avoid the person's face because I suppose to a certain extent we're not supposed to see him as a human being. We're supposed to see him as just this number convict, as that we are repeatedly reminded of that he's expendable through this mission. So that could have been honestly a creative choice to like hide directly his face for the longest time. And then when we get into the real grit of the film, where we realize what the stakes are and all that, then we get to see the actual person behind just being called convicts. We get to kind of flesh him out a bit. But that will be where I draw my first strike on this film. Um, as most people would know, Iron Lung was originally a game,
Mm.
this is an adaptation of it, a very, very successful game from what I heard. Like, I think it's a VR experience or first person VR, I'm not sure exactly. And from what I've gathered, it's pretty much mirroring the Iron Lung submarine. That's why it's called Iron Lung. I learned after the fact. Um, my first issues is in terms of character development, but even outwardly understanding this world that we're in. It's not to me crystal clear. We get a bit of a voice narration at the beginning of the film explaining this anomaly that's occurred where apparently all the star systems that can inhabit human life have all of a sudden just disappeared, and the remaining colonies of humans that still exist are either on space stations or on moons or whatnot, planetary systems that don't require solar system, but they do require their own electronic gadgetry to survive. That's about the gist we get. And so the plot is there's this moon, planet, ocean of blood on some random outwardly systems. Got nothing to do with Earth. It's got nothing to do with the Milky Way. And they're sending this character who's a convict named Simon into the depths of this ocean to take footage or survey and get like some kind of samples of this skeleton quote creature, and the reasons are not really clear as to the why. Like, what does this serve in terms of like helping the human condition? If it's intentional to be vague, that there is no real answer to that question, okay, did a good job, but I just feel like the movie could have served a bit better with those details being explained to us, the whys and the follow up and the results of all the actions taken in this movie. If the results were meaningless, as they like to repeat in the film, okay, cool. But I feel like that discussion or dialogue that the film was supposed to be conveying to us was not clear. So it sucked me in. The first half of the film, I was really getting involved with this concept of being stuck in the submarine for this guy throughout the entire film. And we don't see this world, but we can imagine it through description and we can imagine it through the sounds of the whole and these black and white photos that he has to take every like 20 seconds to be able to survey geographically this whole under subterranean world. It was very eerie. And
Very
most
good, very well
people
done. The sound was very well done.
For
Yeah,
sure, for sure. And for a small encapsulated room, no bigger than a living room, I felt they really did a good job in trying to make the room feel fresh throughout this 2 hour runtime of a film. Nothing ever felt wash, rinse, repeat in terms of how they place the camera, how they frame an action. Anybody who does only the basics in terms of cinematography would get very stale very quickly. So kudos to Markiplier if he was the director of photography as well. He did a great job at making this small sub feel like, despite it being one room, have multiple compartments, multiple areas to like observe and discover. Um, that's a big prop to him. I just wish the narrative was much more clear cut because I feel like he's written a adaptation that really strongly serves the fans of the game that understand the lore better. Anybody who's an outsider like myself will probably feel a little bit misinformed in terms of the concepts and whatnot in this, especially when we come to this villainous entity creature, which is not really explained at all. It's just this creature that's down in the depths with him, and he has to face it, and it gets really cosmic, kind of horror stuff that happens. Even Cronenberg kind of horror occurs in it, which was well done. But again, the details as to the why is never really explained. And if it's meant to be what they say, our interpretation, I don't agree with that. If it's meant to be like whatever you thought happened by the outcome of this film, that's what happened. I don't think is great storytelling. I've never been a fan of it.
yeah.
The open interpretation, artsy fartsy kind of direction, because to me that just tells me the director didn't know how to end the film, so they've left it on the ways where it's like you decide for me. It's like no, I should be walking out of this film not having to do my research on what I just watched, right? I shouldn't have to Google the answers or like have things explained to me. I should be able to walk out of the film, no matter how clever, no matter how psychologically brain warping it is. I should be able to have a good sense of idea of what actually happened by the end of the film. And for me, Iron Lung ticks a lot of good boxes, except its third act. I feel like the third act is definitely where the pacing not so much slowed down, but it just went a bit obscure. And the final payoff of what Simon, spoiler alert, he ends up, I guess, dying because throughout the whole film, the sub is leaking. And as the film progresses, the sub hole gets more damaged and the leaking happens a lot more and it's filling up with his blood, which, if I recall, somewhere in the movie, they explain that the blood is actually human, that it's like a whole ocean of blood that is human.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
It
that's
makes you think,
cool.
what, billions of trillions of humans died to have that much blood?
Yeah, exactly. But
Like, what
again, that
happened?
stuff is not explained thoroughly. It's
Yeah,
like, and then it makes me think, is either the reason why they're here is because they believe this cosmic creature, this giant, from what I can best describe as giant termite looking thing, is this thing responsible for like all the human population disappearing, all the stars dying?
yeah,
Again, unclear. And it's never really the creature itself is not really mentioned until our character Simon discovers it, And what they did with the creature was very eerie. If anybody's got a fear of like both claustrophobia and like open water, this is not the film for you because they're just generally what they've done. They put Jaws in a submarine that's sinking on a ticking time clock, and
yeah. Thalassophobia, the vast of deep and dark bodies of water. I think that's
that's the one.
what they were trying to
Yeah,
do, is have that sort of phobia. Oh, we got to hear the director of photography is Philip Roy. So that's the director of photography. But yeah, as you were saying, I feel like they did a great job. But where the writing chops came towards the end, they didn't quite know how to put it all together and explain it all. I felt like they had really great ideas, yeah, ideas and creative ideas about the world and world building and such, but they didn't really know how to end it or how to explain it all. So it ended up being more of like an experience more than a movie. It just didn't have that ending. Uh, it would have been great if maybe there was the end of an episode. It was episode two that explained everything, but no, this is one entire 2 hour movie, and from start to finish, it was a slow burn movie. Which not a lot. I'm sure a lot of people are not going to like this film because of that, but we like slow burn films, especially we do like them. But if it just didn't have that payoff in the end, they didn't explain what the heck that monster really was. They didn't explain what the bubbles in his skin was. Like, he just started bubbling skin.
Cronenberg.
Did they explain that? The just all of a sudden,
No,
and everything Markiplier if you got blood on you, everything you touch, everything attaches to it. Like, what's that? Does everything become a monster? You become
yeah,
the monster. Yeah,
I just simply interpreted like the blood was an extension of the creature itself. You know what I mean? That's how I interpreted it, but at the same time, it's never made clear cut. So I know we're on a different planet, so obviously stuff is going to behave differently. But yeah, it's just a lot of stuff where the film resulted with me having too many questions more than things answered. And yeah, so like for the good first half of the film, I would have given it good high props, good probably 9 out of 10 in terms of like structure build up, introducing the stakes, introducing sort of plot twists in terms of the convict's job. Like he's been thrown down there to the wolves. They don't expect him to live this and like all that stuff. And then the third act for me, I just felt like the wheels kind of came unstuck and they just didn't know how to land it. Um,
some of the dialogue,
maybe
some of the dialogue scenes too between Simon and I forgot her name. Some of it got a bit tired too, And
Yeah, a
some of
lot of
the
monologues.
some of the writing wasn't like, some of the dialogue was a bit cringe to me. It's like, oh, we got to do it because we have to do it. It's like that type of dialogue. There was a bit of that.
It's probably straight from the game, bro, but it did feel a lot at times very game formulaic.
Even the
Like
radio, the way the radio sounds like I'm playing Fallout or something, and
yeah, exactly
you're
right.
hearing someone saying, "All right, press X to turn left, to
That's the
draw."
voice you're hearing as you're walking around and traversing. Yeah, for
Yeah, so
sure.
it's
Very, very video game
hard to
formulaic.
not take that video gameness out of it. But
Mm,
that was small things. The big thing is what we've been discussing. It's how the story all culminates.
yeah. It's like, I don't know if this is probably not a great example, but for me, it's like introducing the One Ring to rule them all in Lord of the Rings, but never give it any like history, never give it any reference at all. It's just like this thing's dangerous, go kill it. I need to know the why and the how and and all that other jazz. Like that's kind of what this. It's a bad example, but that's what kind of this film
And then
does.
everyone dies and nobody finds out what it was. Anyway,
Yeah, they introduced like things like the black box. What was the significance of getting that information, the intel from the black box back to the surface? The light that the entity was explaining. Like if that, I'm assuming that's got to be in the game, and I'm assuming it's of some special significant importance. But again, all we hear is at jumping ahead here. At a certain point in the movie, the giant monster that we keep talking about that's outside the sub begins communicating with Simon through some kind of telekinesis, cosmic kind of thing. At first, it tricks him. We think it's another survivor and another sub, but I knew, honestly, I knew straight away when this thing started talking that it wasn't a survivor living under the water in these conditions. Because as they mentioned, the oxygen that Simon had was like enough for probably one day. It's like I sincerely doubt this sub was down there the day before. It's like all right, next sub down there, next convict to be expendable. So that when the plot twist reveals that he's talking to this entity or maybe something in his own head, because they play around with like some form of psychosis, and he's knocked himself out a couple times. So maybe he's got a concussion, maybe it's all in his head, maybe it never happened to begin with. But
they're alluding
anyway, this
to
creature
they're alluding to it was the carbon dioxide poisoning. Maybe he's getting delirious
that
but it doesn't make sense, because if you still have 1 bar of oxygen like you did in the movie, you've got plenty of air. Even when the oxygen goes to zero, you still have like a good day or two of just air in the building to. So I don't know. I don't believe the CO2 thing. I don't believe
no,
that. I believe it was something else.
true. So this entity is convincing him to go towards this light source that's underneath this sea of blood, and to head to it, and it's like some kind of enlightenment kind of issue. Um, Again, something that's very jolted over because that's about as much as we get about this light thing. Like, is the light the thing that's like in control of the giant creature? Is the light the thing that was responsible for this cosmic like thing that never really kind of has no really fallback to at all? Just
Why
a lot
did
of
why did the
details.
stars
Yep,
disappear? Why did the stars
that's what I'm
disappear?
saying. Yeah, because when we walked into this film, that was the opening epilogue, was this big space narration, and I'm getting myself ready for this big, not so much Star Wars, but this space exploration set in the future
Massive
kind of
scope, a
story.
big scope kind of
Yeah,
story. Yeah, that
but then it's like no, we're stuck in a sub with
yeah,
Markiplier for the whole film,
and a black box.
which in a black box, which was fine.
Yeah,
Honestly, Markiplier did carry the film. His performance got me through it without ever feeling it got too mundane or mediocre or boring or poor acting. He did a great job. Respects to him. I don't know much about him as a YouTuber. Am I going to start watching his YouTube videos? Probably not. But
I'll watch his movies
kudos to him.
actually. Yeah, I'll start watching his movies.
Movies. So he's done other stuff.
No, I'll start watching his movies when they come out.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. I mean, this could be the first step into another career path. He might start doing more movie making. Like you said, apparently it's made a lot of money back. So they've got themselves a star power in terms of a draw card for audience members. He's a YouTube influencer. A lot of generation these days only care about what's on YouTube or what's on the internet. So there's a calling to get people in the cinema.
Yeah, they saved probably
Um,
20 or $30 million worth of marketing just with how much popularity Markiplier has and how many people he knows that,
there you go.
help him talk about it. It's all like free advertisement. So the YouTube space, like Markiplier has,
Space.
yeah, like he probably saved 10, like he probably only spent 10% of the money he would have if he didn't have the audience that he did. He would have probably been a 40 or 50 million budget movie.
There you go. And we have to compare it to juxtaposition to another YouTuber, probably not as popular, but still in my area of viewing, which is Chris Stuckman in his directorial debut a couple months back, and the difference that both films have made in terms of the big screen. Um, where you have Stuckman, who I don't want to, chastise him, but he made his first directorial debut as a horror film, and it was a very, in my opinion, painted by the numbers kind of movie. There was not much originality, and it felt very
No.
safe, vanilla. Whether that was because of Stuckman's own limitations or his own personal choice to do that, that's his choice. Versus this, which could have been a huge flop had it not been in the right hands. If this was directed again by Stuckman, I don't know how much of a big impact it would have had, but this is a very original film. You know, it's
Yeah.
it's a horror, it's a thriller, it's a cosmic horror.
Well,
It's got
Markiplier had 100% creative power, where I feel like Chris Stuckman had to stay within the bounds of pleasing his what do you call it, the people that
studio execs or whoever was
the
funding
studio.
him.
So I felt like it was
Yeah,
slightly different, but yeah,
absolutely. And it's a hell of a film to take a chance on because, like I said, this could have been a huge flop. Everybody could have walked away from this thinking, "Oh, this is so boring." The film is stuck on a submarine the entire time. But I don't get that vibe at all from this film. Like the sub feels a lot larger than we actually do see. We see one room the entire film with a few flashbacks, of which I will quickly mention. The flashbacks I felt were very uninspiring.
yeah.
And they were not needed at all. Um, oh, and I also forgot, is there time lapsing of some sort or time jumping in this film? Because at one point early on, Markiplier Simon is seeing something in the sub with him. And then near the ending of the film, before the real shit gets down, it's the mirrored of it. Simon is now seeing himself as the thing he saw earlier, and the roles have been reversed. I don't know if you noticed that
I didn't
little
notice
thing.
that.
Okay, well, the first time he's talking to the comms, and he looks over his shoulder, and he sees this kind of charred silhouette of a person, some gangly looking zombie thing, right? But it's hiding behind that little area that you can take cover from.
Yeah,
When he goes to investigate it, it's gone. It's not there. So it's like, oh, it must be on my head. An hour and a half later, he's in that corner and he's like, he's bloody, he's sweating, he's deteriorated. And he looks to the seat of the sub, and there is the charred thingamajig guy turning around in the seat looking back at him.
I see. Yeah.
And it's the mirrored roles reversed thing from before. So I'm assuming, is he seeing past, present, future kind of stuff? I'm not sure. But again, it's something that's not explained. It's a really cool visual, but again, it's not
But it
explained.
doesn't really matter if it's not explained in a good way, really.
It has to be. It
Yeah.
has to be because it's like if you're watching Back to the Future, Marty sees a dog smoking a cigar, balancing on a ball. It's like, but there's no callback to that.
Yeah.
Like, no, that needs to be explained in some form or way. Maybe I completely missed it. Maybe it went completely over my head. But there's certainly a lot of stuff in this that's either like referencing the game, perhaps, that Markiplier felt if you're a fan of the game, it doesn't need to be explained. So it serves more, it makes sense more to the fans of the game series than it does to someone like me on the outside of it.
That would be such a bad
For
idea,
me,
though. Yeah.
that's my point.
Yeah.
Markiplier should have just explained a little bit more, even if it's exposition. the film's already intriguing enough to allow a bit more exposition to explain what the hell's going on. All right, because I want those answers. It could come off a little cheesy, maybe, but if there's a certain point in the film where I understand what's going on, just as the character's understanding, that's all I wanted. Because half the time I felt like the character Simon was just winging everything. It's like, all right, I'm gonna go this way. Oh, I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna check the spark. At one point, the bloody submarine's on fire. It was like, okay, how did that happen? Um, just yeah, I don't know where I'm getting with this, man, but just a little bit more cohesive uh explanation to what's going on in this film. Because if it's meant to be psychedelic, cool, but even psychedelic stuff still needs to have time to hit the audience to know what the hell's going on. Otherwise, it's just flashy colors and we're going, ooh, pretty. And then it goes by us and it's like, oh, I didn't know what was going on, but it happened.
Yeah, it's like a guy on a psychedelic mushroom, yeah, on a mushroom trip who's like, dude, I saw
FNA.
this and I said this, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I know the meaning of the universe. I saw this, and I'm like, okay, explain. Like, I want to. This is cool. You
No.
explaining cool stuff, but I want to know, like, what did you get out of it? What did you learn out of it? Oh, oh no, I forgot. I just remembered all the colors and that. I'm like, oh, god damn. All right,
Yeah.
yeah,
So you go.
no, but yeah, the whole the pacing was great. I said it was a slow burn movie. Was it a slow burn? I'm starting to
It's a slow
think.
burn.
Okay,
But
yeah,
don't take slow burn as a negative term.
no,
Like
yeah,
pretty much every Quentin Tarantino film is a slow burn, man. You build the stakes, you build the intensity. Information is received to you, so you understand. Oh, that's coming around the corner, kind of thing. And this film is on the same kind of wavelength as that. We get a little bit of understanding on his first exposition, so we know that there's a danger and a threat down there, but we don't know the extent of that threat. The second time he goes back down and submerges into this blood ocean catacomb, that's when the shit real hits the fan. When the real shit hits the fan, sorry. Tongue twister. Um, so yeah, like a slow burn will work if it can stick the landing. And for me, the big negative this film has gone overall for it is it doesn't stick the landing.
yeah.
I did not really care for the third act, and the absolute ending to the film was like a Michael Bay Transformers ending. I could seriously hear the Linkin Park music playing in the background where it was like, the drama's over, we have one shot, roll credits. It's
Yeah.
like, what I've done. It's like,
I
oh,
remember
that's the end of the
thinking. I
film?
remember thinking, wait, this better not be the end of the film, right? And then they showed one more second of something, and it wasn't the end of the film. Like, oh god, dang it!
Yeah, you talking about the shot of the black box just floating?
Yes, that's it. Yeah, the black box is just
Oh,
floating. I'm
bro,
like, okay,
I
I'm
was
glad the
waiting to
movie's not
see a
over, and it
little bit
was.
more, man. It was like,
Yeah.
what? What?
All right,
Okay, that's the
cool.
credits,
Now
right?
we get to see what's outside of the sub. What does this world look like without having to look at X-ray images of bones? Like we want to see more than that. But,
Nope.
well, we saw like a glimpse of him. I don't know if he was under some sort of psychosis or the the monster was feeding this information in his head. But we saw him look up in the sky. It's like a really cool eye looking back at him. I'm like, all right, what's that? Nope, we didn't get that either. Oh
Hmm.
man, like I almost want to hear Markiplier explain. Like, I want him to explain what the movie was about at least, because I want to know what the hell that world is. Or maybe he wants to sell a book now. He's going to make a book and he's going to explain it all there. But like, yeah, he kind of cucked us a little bit.
Again, it just feels like fan service for the most part. And it's like that was his mentality. Like, if you play the game, you'll get it. If you haven't played the game, you won't get it.
It wasn't a
It's
big
like
budget game. It wasn't a massive game though. It was kind of like more of an indie. Well, obviously it's indie, but
I don't know anything about it, man. Yeah,
it's
I
not
probably
like
should have looked into it.
everyone played GTA 5 and then they make a GTA 5 movie. It's like, well, everyone is obviously played GTA who's going to watch the movie. But it's not like that. It's like, well, not many people know about the game. This is your
The groundwork,
this is your uh,
directorial
director.
debut.
Yeah, that word. So you're going to make it 100%. You're going to go all out. You're not going to be like, oh, it's fan service. Let's just make this movie. People play the game already knows what's going on, so we don't really have to. No, that's not how it works. You need to
No,
explain everything. Um, yeah, any more little things we're forgetting?
Well, I think I've picked out everything. Um,
Oh, Troy Baker was in it.
yeah, he voiced one of the comms operators.
One of the only
He's got a great
three.
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a cast of like 7 people in this film. But Troy Baker, he's a chameleon. You'd be watching a film with a voice and you wouldn't even realize it was Troy Baker, man. If anybody doesn't know who Troy Baker is, he's done a lot of voice acting in video games. One bigger example being Joel from The Last of Us. I think he even
Oh,
voiced Batman in some of the Arkham Asylum game series. I could be wrong on that one, but yeah, Troy Baker is a huge name in the video game world.
the Daniel Day Lewis
Um,
of voice acting.
Pretty much, he's definitely a big draw card for video gaming. Um, I did have something on my mind I was going to mention. Yes. I mentioned this when we walked out of the cinema, and it's a nitpick because it's sometimes you just gotta expect the believe the disability of a certain thing, but the way the submarine is driven
Oh
through
yeah.
this catacombs, the whole time I'm shaking my head thinking he's gonna run into a wall every time. If it's not the wall, he's gonna be grinding the surface floor. He's gonna be grinding the side skirt of it. The north, because as far as I see, there's like forward and backward half the time with a little knob that goes left and right. But there's points in this film where Simon anchors a folder on the accelerator pedal, and so the submarine's just driving in one direction whilst he's traversing the sub, doing things. And I'm thinking the whole time, like, this is an underground catacomb that you haven't properly surveyed. Like, you're gonna be hitting that wall, you're gonna be going that way, you're gonna be smacking into things at every given second, but it never really happens. It's like it's perfect drive through this
Yeah.
ungeographed world. It was like,
I need to
okay.
see the layout again because the whole basically most of the movie he doesn't do that. He's very specific where he moves to, and in the end of the movie is when he really like he puts the folder on. To, so I figured out he's mapped out the whole system, so he knows exactly which direction to head it. So it goes straight line and it dodges all the walls. That's why I saw
Fair
it.
enough,
Saw of
but
it.
still, it's not like a straight line, this whole map. It's like
No,
there's
it
left and rounds and but like for the most part, it feels like he's just going forward, with a
yeah.
little couple turns
There was
and then
no
just
up and
like,
down. There's like there's no up and down. That sucked
exactly.
too. I wanted to see a little bit more complex. All right,
Mm.
yeah, it's him not saying anything and him just turning dials, and we the viewer just believe what he's doing is what he's doing.
That's to me, that's gonna be the biggest nitpick of this movie. You know what I mean? I'm not even gonna discredit the film because of it. It's just like, I've seen how submarines work and all that stuff, and I've seen even how scuba divers have to swim through tight spaces. And it's like you can't just go forward. There's no such thing as just going forward. There's rock walls, there's random jagged terrain, and this is just me trying to bring reality into a sci-fi kind of scenario. So we'll scrap it, but I just wanted to mention it because yeah, it was one thing I did notice a lot in the film. It's just okay. And we'll pass on that. Overall, I still enjoyed the film. I thought it was a very original take, and for Markiplier, if this is his very first directorial debut film, I think he's done a great job. Um, I do look forward to seeing him segue from YouTube to making his own films, and I'm pretty sure this film is going to get him set up with a lot of interest. Even if it's just something like doing episodes for a TV show, I'd like to see how he handles it. Um, yeah, I just wish it had a better ending. That's all I can really say about it.
And now the ratings. This is gonna be a little tough. I'll go first. Oh,
Hmm.
it's tough, man, because it's the whole. I'll say the movie's like an 8.5, but because of um the whole thing with it, they didn't really explain much. They didn't have that ending. They didn't
Yeah.
really know how to put everything together and explain what the hell's going on. Uh, without giving too much away. That has to take a couple of points off. So overall, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. But it's annoying because it's better than that. But I can't give it more because he didn't have this enough story. All the stuff we talked about. So yeah, I'll give it a 6.5.
Yeah. I'll give it a 7 for the same reasons. It's just It had me hooked. It did. The film had me hooked. I wanted to know what this whole thing was about, whether or not Simon was going to get out of here, whether or not the deal struck would be followed through. Is he a character worth saving? Because we get some hint of a backstory about him blowing up a filling station of some sort, to which he denies very, very repeatedly. But then when he comes to the final moment where he says, "Screw it, I'm gonna die anyway," he says, "Oh, you want the butcher? I'll show you the butcher." And I was like, wait, so what's he trying to say? He actually is responsible for blowing up the filling station? Is he actually a real bad criminal with violence in his past?
And,
Unclear.
and why does he have to be a criminal? Why is like convict
Yeah.
118764? Like, what's the point of that if you're not going to explain what that is?
Yeah,
Like,
we
what?
got very, 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 very small snips, and we probably should have mentioned this before, but yeah, very, very quick flashbacks that don't really tell too much. It's like I felt like they ran out of budget or time to get a much more cohesive flashback to what really happened. Because for the most part, he's just telling it. He's like, "I'm innocent. I'm innocent. I tried to stop it, but I got blamed for it. All my friends said I did it." Like, show, don't tell. There's a lot of telling in this film. For the most part, I'm listening. But when it comes to character backward, show it. Don't
Mm.
tell it.
Oh yeah, and
It's not a courtroom.
the X-ray thing. That so
Hmm.
Markiplier when he was up on top, up, talking to the I don't know the captain and
I think her name was Ava.
yeah, Ava. She was the I don't know general or something. Markiplier pressed the photo button and probably lit up the whole room, spread radiation everywhere because that's what X-rays do, and it ended up killing one of the guys. What was the point of that whole? And he's like apologizing. Oh, it was an accident. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. What was the point of
It's
that?
supposed. I feel like it's supposed to reinforce doubt or disdain for the character, especially from their point of view, because unintentionally or not, he did just kill a man and probably killed her as well.
It
Because I
was an
think she said she
accident.
had tumors.
It was an
It
accident.
was an accident, but you're a convict, right? It's like you've already got that label put on you, and they have to see him as just a convict for the mission to get followed through. Because it's like emotional input on such a high stakes mission. It's like you gotta take out that empathy card. But as the film progresses, we get to see that she does have a bit of empathy for Simon, whether or not that was true or not, whether that was in his head or this entity was tricking him. We don't know because there's no follow through with it. Simon, quote unquote, dies slash sacrifice himself to save the intel on the black box, and that's it. We don't see any other characters in the film. So it's another question that's not answered. Like, was the deal going to be true? Was there a way for Simon to actually survive? I honestly, given the circumstances, probably not. I feel like they probably would have backstabbed him the first chance they got, whether that was her choice or not, or her superiors would say so. It's all speculative, because we don't get an actual answer. So it being all speculative means it means nothing because we're just all talking gibberish at the moment about what if, what if, what if, what if. There's no answers for it, man. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's all that aside is that's the reason why I have to give it a 7.
All
Nothing
right.
more.
Well, that's our review. We got one more review to do after this. We're going to do Fallout. So click on that next video if you want to watch that. This one went for 40 minutes, a bit longer than I expected, but it is what it is. All right.
Okay, but
Thank you, everybody, for watching this review. Please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.